It's
And
like a heavy metal festival, right?
yeah. So it's all like old punk bands, and like I saw Bad Religion that day, and
Right.
so we show up, and we get there, and Danny meets us at the gate, and he says, "Well, it's like actually it turns out we don't need you today. We don't need you at all." And we're kind of like, "Oh, we drove all this way," and he's like, "No, it's fine. Like, here's passes." Yeah, so we ended up getting backstage passes for this festival, and I saw all kinds of crazy bands from like the side of the stage. Like I saw Bad Religion from the side of the stage, which they were one of my favorites when I was in high school, and I saw Nashville Pussy from the side of the stage, and I saw Body Count, Ice-T's heavy metal band. Never really knew them before, but kind of fun to see Ice-T, like the guy from Law and Order, you know.
That's quite
Who
fun.
else was there? And then, but you know who the headliner was Twisted Sister.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I know. I knew that you'd feel that way, but
I saw Twisted Sister years ago. They opened for Iron Maiden.
Oh, that'd be fun. Is that the show you went with?
One of them there, right?
with Master Kent. His first show.
Yeah, but this was just me when I was 14.
Oh, okay.
I went to see them when I was 14. I didn't mean to see them. They just happened to be opening for Maiden. Iron Maiden was great.
Yeah.
But but somebody threw a hamburger at the guy singing for Twisted Sister because nobody wanted to see him and hit him in the face with a hamburger. So then they stormed off stage.
As you would.
Yeah.
One of the first concerts I went to, we're gonna get off. We'll eventually talk about Knives once everyone shows up. But one of the first concerts I went to, like it was a big festival here in Ottawa, and like the Foo Fighters were one of the big headliners that day. And it was out at the Rideau Carleton Raceway. And there was, I should probably turn on Instagram here. And they just wrecked the grass, right? And so everyone started flinging mud around, and they were handing out these Frisbees at the festival. And Dave Grohl said something like, "The first person to hit me in the head with a Frisbee gets my t-shirt." And so everyone started winging Frisbees up, and then they eventually ran out of Frisbees, and everyone started chucking water bottles. Then they ran out of those, and it was like, I can't remember what song it was. It was one of the big songs. It was like one of the faster ones. It wasn't that real. There's that one song I really like, Everlong. I like that one. But it was another one of their songs. Yeah. And he took a ball of mud right in the face and just stopped, and then said, "Who threw that?" And someone out there raises their hands like, "Get up here, I owe you a shirt." It was pretty funny. Yeah, decked him right, hit him right in the face, and then he spit the mud out and started singing again. It was pretty awesome.
That's pretty funny.
So, Peter, yeah, that's what it was. Peter Somersault in 2000. Yeah, I was in like grade 10 then. So here we are. It's Tuesday. Tuesday means Japanese Knife 101. And we're going to talk about, my notes today are all about the upcoming holidays and what you might want to give as a gift. So Kevin and I both have very similar thoughts as to what makes a good knife as a gift. And a few of you may have been in the store and bought one for someone else, and you kind of, we have a different conversation when we're buying a knife for someone other than ourselves, right? Because we don't have them there maybe we don't have them there with us, and we're trying to do our best with what we know about them. So what do you think makes a good, so we've got 3 points, right? So
yeah.
What do you like?
I just posted a blog link on Facebook and YouTube, so you can go and click on that and get more or other how to buy gift knife info. Before you start, listen, Don Penny said he saw bare naked ladies in Cape Breton when he was in university, and somebody brought a box of macaroni and cheese and threw it at Stephen Page, and it hit him, and it really pissed him off. And he says, and the best thing was, it was no name mac and cheese. It wasn't even Kraft dinner.
Oh, wow. Well, I met Stephen Page one time when I was still at Union. He was like hosting short-lived. I've told you this story before. he was hosting some short-lived like kind of travel foodie show, and he came to Union because like we did all like very like it had a southern spin on it, but it was very St. John, right? We used the whole animals, and we often served weird bits of them.
Yeah.
And so he came to highlight the speakeasy that was down in the basement. And when he got there, I decided I was going to be real contrary, and I pretended I didn't know who he was. And I was just like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you. My name's Chris." And he's like, "I'm Steven, I guess." We shook hands, and I was like, "So, like, you've been at this for long, or like, what do you, what'd you do before this?" And I just asked him all, like, I just played real dumb, like I didn't know him. But then by the end of the day, like, because he'd been in the restaurant all day, he eventually came to the, he came back to the kitchen. He's like, "Where'd you get some of these cookbooks? I've been looking for some of these." And, and then we just ended up having a real conversation because I didn't care that he was a bare naked lady.
Were you nice to him after that?
Well, I was never rude, Kevin. I would never be rude. But sometimes I can be very aloof. So,
Sometimes I can be very smug.
Yeah, I've heard that about you. Oh, Federico got his knives yesterday in Austria. 2 Moritakas.
He got
Hanasuki.
Hanasuki and a Nikiri, I think. And I saw he posted a little Instagram story thanking us for it. And so Federico, I hope you love those knives, man. Those are going to be fun.
Yeah. Moritakas are some of my favorites.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, tell us, how do you buy a knife for a gift? What do you do?
Okay, so it has already begun here in Ottawa. There's been quite a bit of Christmas shopping. I think a lot of people are trying to get ahead of it this year because no one knows what next week is going to bring. So, and I think that's a good idea. If you can get your Christmas shopping done early, you probably should, because who knows what's going to happen.
I think so.
So, yeah, I try every year to get it done before December comes, and there's not a chance I'm going to pull that off this year. So when you're buying a knife for someone, there's usually 3 points that I focus on. The first point number 1, is that it should be really easy to take care of. You don't want to if you give someone a carbon steel knife and they don't know what that entails, and there's going to be a care sheet. We're going to have told you when you bought it, and you're probably going to be like, "Hey, there's this care sheet. You should probably read it." They're probably not going to. And giving someone a carbon steel knife is like giving them a cat for Christmas. Like, they might have mentioned once that they'd really like to have a cat, but they never said that they wanted to take care of a cat. And if you're not expecting the care that goes into a carbon steel knife, odds are you're going to let it get rusty, or you're going to chip it, or you're going to do something. And then emotions run high, Like, I don't know if you've ever been accused of, selling someone a shitty knife because someone else couldn't take care of it.
I've been accused of ruining Christmas. But I haven't been accused of ruining Christmas. I got accused of ruining Christmas. It was 3 Christmases ago. Is because somebody ordered a knife on the 20th, and they were in the United States, and it didn't get there on time. And on the 24th, she sent me a message that I had ruined Christmas.
Personally, you had.
Yeah, personally, I had. And you know what I did to ruin Christmas? She made an order, and I put it in a box and sent it out the way she asked me to send it out.
Yep.
The day she ordered it. But I'd ruined Christmas. I felt bad. I didn't want to ruin Christmas that way, but
yeah, you're pretty terrible at that.
Christmas lights.
Oh yeah. Do you guys want to see my Christmas lights?
Yeah.
All right. Here.
Did you guys do something weird? Tell us why. Tell us why you did something fun.
Okay, so we decided this year. Well, Kevin kind of put a challenge out to the stores. So all the knife wares and all the Kent of Inglewoods we were decorating the front of the store. And we always put up a couple of decorations. But this year we decided that we wanted to kind of, draw a little bit of attention, like give people a reason to smile. So the instructions I was given before I show off my handiwork here is to get as many Christmas lights as I could up. No one said they had to look nice. So I'm just going to throw that out there now. I think I've broken my keychain.
Well, no, I had said Clark Griswold.
Clark, yeah, you know what? I've never actually seen that movie. So here, I'll take everyone for a little walk. Hopefully you're keeping an eye on. So look, Kevin, I got a candy cane on your bicycle.
Oh, that's my bicycle.
Yeah. And I've got these
I really like that bicycle.
Oh, we put the Highlander on at the end of the day. So that's not a Christmas movie. But,
right on.
It involves sharp things. And we got these cool things that remind me of my grandmother's house. You know?
Oh, where'd you get those? Those are good.
Dollar store. So here, let's
I want to get some of
go
those.
outside. Oh, hopefully this doesn't screw up the whole feed because I'm going to go outside. So here we go. We got my Christmas tree. And we got this wreath that I worked really hard on. Hard to see in the dark, but there's knives on it. And then our window, we just got a bunch of lights. You know, we got a big knife made out of wood. And this is my favorite part is the dude.
Merry Dudemas.
Yeah, Merry Dudemas. The boys probably really want wandering around. So, but yeah, so we just put up a whole bunch of lights.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it's probably a good time to ask us something if you have any questions. If you want to talk about anything, because we clearly haven't done anything except talk about stupid things today, which is a thing.
It's bound to happen, and I think everyone turns up. No one really comes to me looking for smart conversations. So, but that's something that we did in all the stores, really just to try to, you know, make 2020 a little, like, I don't know, end on a little bit of a high note, as much as we can.
Yeah.
You know?
I think everybody just needed a bit of a smile, to be honest.
Yeah, and it was fun. Like, it was kind of, it was hard getting all that done during garage sale, but I think I did a pretty good job. So, the giant knife is going to be kept year round, Don. So it just might not be wrapped up in buffalo plaid Christmas paper, but it might too. I kind of like it. So what did I say? I said, here's a question from Simerjeet. Who has the prettiest Damascus pattern in Japanese knives? Oh, that is a good question. And then Brian's got, well,
it depends. I like, I like a lot of pretty Damascus knives.
Yeah.
Like, I like Tatsu's new black Damascus stuff.
Yep.
And all of Masashi's Damascus is great, obviously.
Yeah, I can grab a couple of those.
I'm a big fan of his, especially the Kuroshu. You know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I also
Chris, is there a place near the Glebe to buy whole chickens?
Well, there's the Glebe Meat Market. They're just a couple blocks south of us. They're a pretty good butcher. They're probably the best bet in this part of town, to be honest. If you need it right now, they're closed, so you should probably head over to the I don't know, Metro's probably got them, but you know, if you knew that, you probably wouldn't be asking me. I'd say the meat market is the best bet. And then we got someone over on, I just grabbed a couple of Damascus knives here because everyone was expecting me to grab this Masashi Kuroshu.
That's because you and I love that knife.
It is, yeah. I helped someone pick one of these out for their husband for Christmas today.
Oh, he must have been a good boy this year.
He must have been. I told her that if she'd like, she could buy one for me too. So look at that. You know what I love about this so much is the texture on it.
That's what gets me, right?
Yeah, because it's there, like it's rough, but it's not rough. Like it's not like rough as in it's been ignored. It's rough on purpose.
Well, you can feel the striations, right? You can feel all the layers.
Yeah.
Chris, I see you going away down to the phone. But
see who it is. Sean's coming. I knew he'd come.
Chef Max wants to know, did you get that knife yet?
No, I haven't. I've kind of gone and put myself into a situation, Chef Max. I'm in a situation where I bought a new motorcycle this year. And
Sorry,
so
how many
that makes-
motorcycles did you? Sorry, how many motorcycles did you get this year?
Well, I bought one.
Yeah, but how many motorcycles do you have now? So how many
Now
did
I
you start?
have-
So how many did you start the year with?
I started with one,
And then you got rid of it.
and then I got rid of it, and then I got another one,
And
I
then you got,
two more.
so you have three
But
motorcycles.
they don't really work. They don't really work. One like moves, but it's not very nice. So I was one, but so to kind of go with that, I read a very interesting quote not too long ago that said, "Nothing is as expensive as a free motorcycle." So I'm that's the game I've been playing. So
Yeah.
yeah, everyone's giving me a hard time here about that. I would agree with Derek and Kevin about the Black Damascus. I think those catos are really elegant. I also, yeah, James is saying Hinora and Shigafusa. I've never seen one of Shigafusa's in person.
I
but-
will go with Hinura, sure, but Shigafusa?
It's kind of just like, it's pretty, the pictures to me just kind of, it looks like it's like Damascus by happenstance. Like it's not, he's not making an effort to really make it pop, you know, but I don't mean that negatively. I just, it's kind of like Kagura's Damascus, right? Like it occurs.
Kagura's, listen, Kagura's my favorite, but I don't want to talk about it because you're tired now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you, I took my hunting knife out yesterday, Chris, my Kagura hunting knife out. Took it out for a little adventure with Visti. And we, by the way, though pointed guns at a few deer, we let no shots go and fired, and we bothered and harmed no deer at all. No deer were harmed by us yesterday.
We had a customer.
No squirrels,
He's
no
kind of-
rabbits, no deer, no grouse. Nothing was harmed by us.
Yeah.
No
You'd
elk.
shoot a
No
squirrel
elk were
anyway,
harmed.
eh?
Oh, I'd shoot a squirrel and eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've served a lot of squirrels.
Yeah. What do they like to eat? You serve them.
You know what? They're like rabbit.
What do they order? What's
They're
a
like
squirrel
breakfast
order,
sandwich.
Kevin? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I said, well, what kind? Because you said you served a lot of squirrels. I say, oh, what do they like to order?
We don't serve squirrels in here. Get out.
So we asked, Sean was very smart today. He knew we were doing this video. So he asked a couple of customers throughout the day, if they were watching a video, what kind of questions would they have for us? And one of them ties in as to like how Damascus is made. Because if people are asking like, you know, like maybe it's worth talking about, because like Hinora makes his Damascus differently than Kagura does. And, you know, even compared to what Kato is doing, like there's big differences, right?
Big differences.
So,
Listen, you've got a question on Instagram, Chris,
have I?
as well. And it's, I don't cook much meat or fish. Which would be more versatile, a small deba or a hanasuki?
I'd say a Hanasuki. I think a Hanasuki would be more versatile if compared to a deba.
Yeah, because
You can use
hanasuki
the
you could use as a
You could use it as a big
like,
petty.
utility knife too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Deba is, I have it like, I've seen people use small debas for butchering chickens and things like that, but they're not really that good at the job. Like you can do it, but it's not meant for it. And I would say it's easier to clean a small trout with a Hanasuki than it is to clean a chicken with a deba. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's easier to clean a small trout with a petty knife.
Yeah, that's all I've ever used was like a 150 petty, or my, I use a Tsujihiki now for bigger fish.
You know what? Before we start talking about Damascus steel, we should probably address this situation here.
Which situation?
Well, our man, Chef Max, Adrian Del Mar Hernandez de la Vega Fuego, or something. Adrian Mar Hernandez, Chef Max, says, and he's been tuned in since the very beginning. What's the topic today?
Oh, he knows. He can see right through the bullshit. Well, we were going to start talking about what makes a good gift, what you should think about when buying knives for other people. That was the original topic. And we managed to get through the first of the 3 points, which was it should be easy to take care of. So a stainless steel, or at the very least, like if you know, if they're asking for something specific, like if someone says like, I want a Masakage Mizu, well then just buy it for them because hopefully they've read up on it. But I find a carbon steel knife with a stainless steel jacket, like a Yuki or a Mabaroshi or a Denka or something like that, is still easy enough for most people. Like you need to give them a little bit of a warning that something that like things are going to change and whatnot, but the average person seems to do okay with a stainless steel clad knife. The worst thing I find about knives that are given as gifts is the chips. Is when people just kind of, they don't know what they have. And
the chicks.
the chips.
The best thing about knives is the chicks.
No, chips.
Oh.
Chip.
French fries.
You know, like, because, well, like how often, like, you know, it's almost never the person who bought the knife who chips the knife, is it? You know, it's always like my friend was over and they used my knife, or the housekeeper. Today we had someone like the housekeeper did this to my knife, and there's a Mugen. I should actually go get it. I told you about this knife earlier.
Oh yeah, that's sad.
It is sad, but you know what did it was a squash, and I had said, well, that's not the right way to do it, is it?
You should have watched my squash video.
He should have. But yeah, big chunk of the tip. So yeah, it's always, I don't know, it's always the other person. Like, cause I think the person who buys the knife, like, look at that. Look at my frown underneath it.
That's okay. You got a lot of steel to take off there, buddy.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Do you have a Sharpie there? Do you have a pen? You gonna show us what you're gonna do?
I can, yeah, that's a good idea. Probably no Sharpie nearby. Oh yeah, here there is. This is like a dry erase marker, I think. Doesn't matter. It's coming off anyway. So what we want to do is, instead of, because if you just sharpened that side and brought it up there, you'd screw up the profile of the knife. It wouldn't cut the same anymore. Like it wouldn't feel the same on the cutting board. And it also, you'd have to thin it out a whole bunch as well. Now this customer has asked that I not thin out the knife. He doesn't want to mess with the way it looks. So I'm gonna use a belt sander downstairs and remove that much material, more or less, probably a little bit more. It looks a bit stubby like that.
Yeah, you gotta keep the grace of the knife, right? You gotta keep the good line so it looks cool when you're done.
Yeah, so it'll kind of look like that, but rounded off up here. There's a lot of, it'll take a while, you know, but you know what? First time he's ever had it sharpened, Kevin.
So how much are you going to charge him for that repair?
That repair is $0.
So why is that?
Well, because the first time, like any knife that we sell, the first round of repairs and sharpening is on the house. So normally,
that's awfully nice, isn't it?
That's awfully generous, eh? So normally that amount of steel on a belt sander, I don't know, what would you charge for that, Kevin? I'm like, it's a lot of work. Like it's probably like a,
well, it's probably going to burn up an entire belt as well. Like it's going to burn up your whole cubic zirconia belt. You got to get the blue belts for that, right?
Yeah, that's what I know.
It's going to chew up an $8 belt. Plus, it's going to take you a while.
Yeah, like that could take me an hour.
Really? You should move faster.
Well, I should get a better belt sander.
you get the same one I use.
Yeah,
I like that one.
So just depends. Yeah, fresh belt will go pretty quick, but you know, yeah, it'll cost like $30-35. So he doesn't have to pay for that. And then we'll
listen, I got another question before we get to the prettiest Damascus or how Damascus is made. Yeah. It's from our buddy Brian Crook, who
Brian?
Yeah, you know Brian. He says he got his Makoto Kurosaki Petty today. It was going to be for his parents. He says it's way too thin. He's going to keep it for himself, I'm assuming, because I would. Shit, I love that knife. But he needs something more robust. It's 120 to 150 centimeters. So something like just a wider, fatter spine. Something that's a
Okay.
bit more tough. In the 120 to 150. Stainless.
Stainless, 120 to 150.
I'm thinking Mugi or Goma. I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
What
What am I
about Fujimoto?
thinking?
The black Fujimotos. They're pretty.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
the SLB.
Fujimoto. There we go. Both of the Fujimotos.
Yeah.
Either of them is great. But
Yeah.
the hammer tone one is stainless as well.
Yeah, they're
Mostly.
135, so that's kind of right in the middle. I think that.
Get the one. Yeah, get the 135 hammer tones
Yeah, I'll go-
Fujimoto. That's a really
I'll
great.
get-
That's a really great idea.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
James
they're
Wang
like-
is saying, speaking of Damascus, Kevin mentioned that he was going to get some Shoichi Hashimoto in the future. The plan is yes, but nothing moves fast in Japan, so give us a few months still. But I've got some coming actually. And
So
he
Brian,
says his
just to-
Mizaki. Brian says that his Mizaki is perfect, but it's
People
white
love
number
those.
one, and he wants something stainless.
Yeah, so this has got a, you know, minus like his Mizaki has like a blackish Nishiji, like a darker.
Oh, and he's asking, what about the koi knives?
Yeah, well, I can get a koi. To show
Actually, the
you.
koi is fantastic because Kurosaki makes rugged knives, man.
The koi, no, that's Masashi. The koi.
Yeah, the Masashi koi are great knives. What did I say?
You said Kurosaki,
Ah, I meant Masashi.
but that's because I think that's because we were talking about Makoto there a moment ago.
Oh, maybe.
So that's
maybe.
the Masashi koi. What's the spine there?
That's pretty
little bit.
delicate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, you know, compare it to the Fujimoto. Right.
Yeah, it's quite thin compared to the Fujimoto, actually.
Yeah. The Fujimotos are ground really well though. They come down to a nice thin. Oh, Mark or Lori saying that they like my beard from town.
I was going to say Mark likes your beard, but it might be Lori too. I don't know.
Yeah, I just cleaned it up some. Thanks for noticing.
So he wants something that's like the Mizaki. I think that Fujimoto might be
The
way to
Fujimoto
go.
is probably the best bet. It's going to have, it's got a, like they look different, but it's similar. And it's going to be a lot easier to take care of. The koi is made out of VS1, which is technically a semi-stainless steel, so you can expect some patinas. It doesn't like rust, like it doesn't rust instantly. You kind of have to neglect it for a little while. But people do get the odd bit of staining and whatnot on it, and that tends to stress them out if they're not paying attention. You know, if you follow the rules, like it's fine. But you know, it just depends on how, you know, it's not a straight up stainless, and I wouldn't want to lie to you and tell you that it was. So.
Yeah, just get the Kuro shoe then. The Kuro shoe is stainless, and it's rugged, and it's beautiful, and it's probably super cheap, right? Like $600 or something.
$489 or something like that. So it's much less than what Kevin said. And
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
You know,
Saving your money already.
instant deals. So, yeah, Frederico says the Kobayashi 150 with the red handle. Not, I'll grab one. I would say.
I don't know how rugged that knife is.
Yeah, but it's.
Maybe, you know what? Grab a Sugimori while you're down there too.
I haven't got a petty. I've only got chef's knives.
Ah, boom, yay.
Boom, yay. But you know what? Even compared to
That's how this.
So this is the koi, and then that's the.
The koi is thin, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a little bit. The Kobayashi is still a little bit thicker than the koi.
Wow, that koi is really thin.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he said. That's what Brian says about the Makoto. He says it's super thin and super light.
Yeah.
Which is.
But one of the things I find
in many circumstances,
if you're looking at your, you know, holy moly, if you're thinking about petty knives, they don't. I am of the belief that a petty knife doesn't need to be as rugged as your chef's knife, because they don't often get put in those kind of high stress jobs, those high, you're not banging a petty knife against the cutting board the way you are a Santoku or a Gyuto. So you're usually doing gentler work, but if you're giving it to your parents, maybe they're like my mom, who's all about the, uses it for everything. Yeah, Brian says they use it as their chopping knife. So yeah, you are on the right track.
Oh, Derek Brown says, what about a Manaka? The Kisuke?
Oh yeah,
The
I've got
ATS
a
34. That might be a great one, actually.
I've got a 150 here. There's the spine.
That's
it is
a bit more of a rugged knife too, actually. That's actually not a bad idea. Brian Crook, get the Kisuke made by Manaka, the ATS 34 Petty Kisuke. That's a great one.
Yeah, so I have a 150 here, but I think there's 120s elsewhere. The old website is your friend for that one.
For sure. Don Penny says, is there anything in the works for February? Because I can't buy any new knives this year. Because that's what he said before the garage sale. And I don't know if you know, but he bought 7 knives during the garage sale. In between, I don't know if you know this about Don Penny. I was talking to him on the weekend. And did you know that he used to be a water ski champion?
Oh, really?
Yeah. He used to be a water ski champion, and he said he did a water ski racing, and I don't know what that is, but also
downhill water skiing.
Over maybe, like over falls probably. So that's something interesting about Don Penny. He's like that, He's kind of a man that does a lot of things.
He's a man. Yep, he gets it done.
Ivan says, tell me something about Masakage Mizu. It made by Anru-san, as I understand, right? How does that work? Well, Anru-san makes knives for Masakage knives, and Anru-san makes knives for his own brand as well.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Yeah, so the Mizu is the Mizu was my first handmade knife. I had a bunch of like Max and Globals and stuff, so it's not fair to say it's my first Japanese knife. But the Mizu, every decision along the way is what is the sharpest knife for the least amount of money. So, the blue number 2 without any stainless steel, the relatively easy Karochi finish, the cherry and plastic handle, like every step of the way is like, how can we make the sharpest knife for the least amount of money? Now there's more care that comes along in it.
It's like a Ford Mustang, right? The most horsepower per dollar.
Yeah.
But don't try to make a Mustang go in a corner. No. I know I'm on my second Mustang, and it's not meant to go around a corner.
No. So, but I got to meet Anru a few years ago. It was great.
Did you eat pizza with him?
I ate pizza with Anru-san, and I followed his lead.
Was it good pizza?
It was not. The pizza was not great.
It was terrible, as I remember. Yeah. I think it was a frozen pizza.
Yep. Yeah, it was like a Dr. Utker's frozen pizza that I ate with chopsticks.
Wasn't that good? Why chopsticks?
That's what Anru did, so I did it.
Don Penny confirms he was a downhill water skier. So there you go.
Wonderful.
It was downhill water skiing.
Should we talk a bit more about Damascus, or should we move on to the second step in what makes a good gift knife?
Well, everybody's talking about how much they like their Manaka knives now. So I like mine too. I got a 210. I wish I had a 240. So I'm going to get a 240 of the other steel, not the ATS 34, the carbon steel. Which one is that, Chris? So I'm going to get
white
240 of that because I'm very excited.
Should I? Oh, they only.
Anthony Yang wants to know if Kurosaki-san is retiring anytime soon. Maybe, but he's only kind of mid-40s. But he might be retiring soon. I don't think so. He hasn't told me that. I think that he still looks quite vibrant. And then again, maybe he made his millions now and he's going to retire.
I should answer this here. Oh no, it's gone to voicemail. It's very.
Oh, answer it live. That's riveting TV.
Yeah. No, it's going to be boring. It's too late. It already went to the voicemail.
Brian Crook also got his Kurosaki Senko Tsuji today.
Fuck. Ooh. Did he get it? Was it a 270? Was it 270, Brian? I was on the help desk the other day. I don't do much of the help desk anymore, but someone was looking for an R2 Kurosaki Tsuji, and they wanted a 270, but all we had were 240s left. So
that'll happen sometimes.
Yeah. So no, there's no reason for Kurosaki to retire. He's kind of only hitting the top of his game, really. Like, he's been making great knives for years, but now he's really getting the people are noticing him a lot more, which is kind of what he would like to see. So, which is obviously, right? He owns a business. Like, he wants to sell his knives. So
yeah. No, I don't think he's retiring.
No.
Oh, Chef Max is saying, "What is there a real person on the help desk on the website?" Yeah, man, we man it all the time. We have people answering your questions on the help desk 7 days a week, usually while the shops are open. Pretty much
Saturdays and Sundays are hard. But you'll get, if someone doesn't get back to you right away, like, it'll be by within a couple hours usually, or if it's overnight, you'll get someone in the morning. Alex, the assistant manager here in Ottawa, has been taking care of that for the last couple months. He's been really slugging away at it. And luckily,
Chris,
most of the time.
Sorry, I'm trying to load up another video here of the announcements about new COVID restrictions for Alberta. Because something's in the works, and I've heard some bad rumors. So I'm trying to fire this one up here too, so we can see what's going on. I hope they subtitle it, because it looks like they're already late for their. They promised at 10, and then 11, and then 12, and then 3:30, then 4:30, and now they're saying 5 o'clock. So must be a very big announcement. I don't think it's going to be good.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think at the end of the day, we need to act in a way that is going to keep the most people safe.
Yeah,
and that
you know what I
is
saw?
A hard decision, but
yeah, you know what? I just kind of wish they would do something and make some kind of decision, because honestly, our premier in this province hasn't made a statement of any sort for 11 days now. He's like completely missing in action. It's not much of a leader move, to be honest. Not to get political here, but come on.
And Anthony is asking about if Kato-san, Yoshimi Kato, if he has any intentions of retiring soon, and I don't believe so. He's pretty young for what he's doing as well. So,
oh yeah, no, these guys aren't retiring anytime soon.
I actually found this picture of Kato-san and Jackson.
Well, that's when Kato had his mustache. I like the mustache. That was
you missed out on that barbecue.
Yeah.
Well,
so we've gone off here. Let's hear. Brian Crook said he got Naoto helping yesterday about steel. That's great. AJ says your shipping is amazing. I got my Seki Kanetsugu Petty in 1 day. 1 day? That's insane. Is Kato-san retiring? No. Title says knife talk, but all I hear is politics. Well, it was only about 30 seconds about politics. Rainbow Damascus. No one mentioning Rainbow Damascus is the coolest. We should talk about that. We should totally talk about Damascus. Okay, so what were the points? First, we're going to talk about gifts. First one should be easy to take care of. Stainless steel and not easy to chip.
Or
second one.
Well, second one is it's going to look good.
It's got to look cool.
It's got to look cool. So that's a great.
You want someone to open the box and go, "Wow, yeah, that's cool," rather than, "Oh, look, a knife."
Yeah. Like as good as a Haruyuki Yokuma, like as good as that knife is, like that's one of my favorite lines of knife is the Kuma and the Yokuma, that SRS 15. It doesn't look like much, and unless like people are just like super minimalists, like, the perfect knife is gonna, like, everyone thinks that something different is cool, but like you get a less of a reaction, like to me, a Denko looks really cool.
Oh,
And an
yeah,
SUV
it's got,
looks like I'm
you know,
going to use it to go to work, you know? So it just really kind of, presumably if you're buying someone a nice knife, you know them pretty well. So just kind of try to pick something out that you think is going to wow them. Like the first knife I bought, like the more, remember what I said, like my first knives were Moritaka Ishime that I bought from Knifeware. And the reason I walked down the line, the store's not that much different than it was 6 years ago when I bought that knife, or 7 years ago. And I just stopped and I said, I want that one. And this, whomever it was, Kevin was in the room, but it was someone else helping me. And they're like, oh, you want to look at anything else? I'm like, nope. That looks like an orc from Lord of the Rings would use it. And that's what I want. And that's what I got. So sometimes just kind of lean on your gut if you think they're going to feel like, I don't know. I find sometimes a lot of people get hung up on kind of nerdy steel talk when we're looking for gifts, like this one's sharper than that one, but this one's harder to take care of. I think when you're buying someone a gift, like it's all about that gut reaction. Like if you know someone who is a super nerd and you show them like a Denka and you could be like, this is the sharpest knife. That's going to be super impressive to someone. But then, I helped another person today who was between a Denka and a Kuroshu. And it was like, well, this one's the sharpest, but this one is the coolest. And okay, easy. Well then you called it the coolest, so get that one. You know? So it's kind of like, it comes down to the individual. I think it's important to note, if you buy someone a knife as a gift, our return policy is, I think, is pretty flexible, so long as the knife is unused. Now, this is a lot easier if you're within walking distance or driving distance to a store. It gets a little bit trickier when we're relying on the post. But if you buy someone a knife and they don't, like, it just doesn't feel right, or they wish it looked like something else, just tell them don't use it, and then go see them in the store, and we'll find them something new. We'll exchange it. It's not hard, It's harder
I made
when
lights for you.
Look at that. Wow. So, that's a good question. If Obi-Wan Kenobi was a chef, what kind of knife would he use? Same question for Darth Vader. Oh, maybe they would be like a Shiroshu and a Kuroshu.
Oh, I like that, because they're both Jedi, right?
Yeah.
So they would probably have equal but different knives. I like that a lot. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I would go with the Kobayashi Damascus versus the Kobayashi Megaki.
Yeah, you could do that.
But I think Darth would have the Kuroshu and Obi would have the Shiroshu. That's really smart.
Yeah, so there's been some talk here about rainbow Damascus. And so we haven't really talked about how Damascus is made. But for the most part, and I had the page open to it, but then I got distracted and I closed it. But Damascus steel is made when you layer up steel into, I don't know how well we can see this in this picture here. So you've got Kagura-san here, kind of cutting pieces of steel, and then he's layering them up. You see that? Like the little
he's making a little sandwich. Yeah.
So he stacks it up. He's got 7 layers there, if memory serves correct. And then he hammers it out till it's thin. And then he takes it and he does like this kind of what we call like a book fold, or like a trifold. And you can do that as many times as you want. And that's what it's referring to when Shun brags that they've got 63 layers of steel or 120. It's always a weird number, because it's like, it's 2 even numbers plus the core steel in the middle. So they've always got this weird number. You're like, well, how'd they get to that? I think it's usually 63 and 127 are the ones that people generally brag about. But you layer up that steel, and you can, the reason why they used to do that would be to kind of spread out the impurities in a bar of steel. It was a very practical reason for doing it back when they were making swords.
Which is kind of, the more you hammer it, the more it knocks the impurities out of the steel, right? And the more that it makes the steel rugged, and the more that it makes the steel hard. So it improves the steel quite a bit, and that's why old swords were made that way, right?
Yeah.
But I think now it's important to say that Damascus kitchen knives are made for good looks,
Yeah.
right? Because you make this folded steel in many layers and you split it open, put the hard steel down the middle, close it up.
Yeah.
The outside's just cool looking, and the middle is what's important, right? Because that's the part you sharpen, and that's the part you're cutting with all the time.
Yeah.
So guys like Kagura and Hinura layer their own steel. Hinura also adds a twist to it to get that torsion. They call it torsion Damascus, twist Damascus. So he does that. But the most common way to make Damascus is just buy layers of steel in a bar. So if you're spending under $1,000, you're not getting hand folded Damascus steel. You're getting a blacksmith who's bought laminated steel bars, and then they manipulate those, right? They manipulate those to make a really cool pattern, and then they make a knife. And I guess there's other ways to make Damascus. We talk about the rainbow. Yeah, there's Hinura. So you can see the torsion, the twist that he's got there, right?
Yeah.
But then people are talking about the rainbow Damascus, and that was developed because of a problem. And the reason the Mugen knives were also developed for the same problem, that you can't heat treat carbon steel as the center of your knife and get stainless Damascus steel on the outside to look good. Something to do with temperatures and stuff like that, unless you can really finely control it, like they can at Senyoriki, which is how we got the Mugen knives. So the rainbow Damascus is a result of that. So Hasaji worked with Takfu steel and said, right, let's do a Damascus steel on the outside of the carbon steel core. That was the first ones he made. But he wanted the Damascus steel to pop, but he knew he couldn't heat treat it in a way that would make the steel pop. But if he heat treated the core properly, the outsides wouldn't look right. So he said, make me this steel that's stainless, copper, stainless, bronze, stainless, copper, stainless, bronze. So that's what the rainbow Damascus is stainless, copper, stainless, bronze. And then he buys those blanks, or buys that layered steel, manipulates it, makes it look cool, and then makes a knife out of it. Did that answer any questions? Does that make any sense to anybody?
No, that was really in depth. So, because that same steel is the we saw that was the same stuff that those knives that we got from Hinura a couple years ago, I believe. Was that same? Might not be the same place, but it was the same idea.
Listen, somebody on Instagram asked some questions, and if I say it, they won't hear me. But if you say it, they'll hear you.
I muted you and answered them while you were talking.
Oh, I thought you were just shouting at me.
No.
Trying to put a shirt back on or something.
Yeah, put your pants on. There's a camera on. AJ is saying, do you like clad knives or mono steel knives? Also, is there a reason why magnolia wood is the most common handle material?
Magnolia is the most common handle material because of tradition. There's your answer.
Yeah, that's a pretty Japanese answer. That's a good question. Damon is asking, has a well-used rainbow Damascus ever come into the shop as a patina green? So I want to know the same thing. I don't have an answer. So I've sharpened one. And it did not turn green. It was one of those Hinura knives, because that particular garage sale, I was really cheeky and sold all of them to people who came to the Ottawa store. I just happened to know where they all were. So I had customers who knew they wanted it, and I was like, okay, well, I'll sell it to you and I'll get them to ship it to me. That made the other managers upset with me, but my friends got their knives. So
sometimes people get upset.
You know, sometimes it's easy to get mad at me because I generally just do what I want. But I remember I have sharpened one of them. So it would have been about 2 years old, and it belonged to a professional cook Now, I don't know how often that knife is going to work, but I don't remember it being like kind of tarnished in a weird way. It would be relatively easy to keep it going. Like if he's wiping it off frequently, that would kind of stop it from patinaing up too much, because the copper doesn't react as quickly as the carbon steel, or at least like when I, like the one kitchen I worked in that had copper pans, it wasn't as quick as a carbon steel knife.
You know what? That's actually a good point. I got carbon pans. I got 2 old carbon pots that are really tarnished, but they're not green.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think it's kind of, it's almost.
Oh my God, I would want to force a patina on that. I love the idea of having that copper green look on my knife. That would be rad.
Knife, yeah. What do you think about kind of mono steel knives, Kevin? Like, you know, ones that are not made with sand.
You know what? It depends, right? Because you can have 2 kinds of mono steel knives. You can have a mono steel knife that's like let's say a European knife, like a Henkel knife, where you just got one steel, right? Or you could have a mono steel knife like a excuse me, like a Honyaki knife.
Yeah.
A Honyaki forged knife or a Honyaki heat treated knife is the same heat treating way that they made Japanese the samurai swords, right? Like the famed katana. And what they did with the katana is they heat treated it in a way so that the spine, so the edge along the spine was hard steel, or sorry, along the edge is hard steel, but along the spine was slightly softer, which gave the blade a little bit of flex and protected the hard steel, right? If you made a knife, a Japanese knife using Japanese steel, out of one piece of steel, generally it would be too hard and it'd be brittle. So if you dropped it, it would break. So the way they make Honyaki blades is they make the spine softer and the edge harder. You know how they, excuse me, drink some water.
Yeah, they do that by kind of layering
how
up
they do that?
mud, right? Like,
yeah,
I remember
so basically, Go on, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, I remember like I got to make a knife in Takafu, and one of the steps, and I saw Fujiwara do it when we went to see him, you kind of paint a bit of mud or you dip it or whatever. Like it's a very thin mud, and it kind of serves as a bit of a protection when it goes in. So to do a Honyaki knife, they'll paint the mud on the blade, but then they paint extra mud on the spine or near the spine so that the stuff here, I have a Honyaki knife here, so I can kind of explain this a bit better. So what they would
have one? So you see that wiggly line? That's the important part.
So that, so down here, you just paint like one kind of even coat over the whole thing. And then they layer it up thicker between this line and this here. So what happens is that this temperature of that part of the knife doesn't get as hot. Therefore, when they quench it, it doesn't get as hard. So it gives you like kind of really hard steel and softer steel. Is that a good way to describe it? That's how I've kind of come to understand it. I'm sure it's much more complicated in theory, but
but you and I've never made one, so we don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots to look for, but that's my understanding of how it works. And I've seen it on TV and stuff. So, do I use my kitchen?
Don Penny said he'd love a rainbow Damascus. Oh, go for it.
I was going to say, Anon 5214. Do you use your kitchen knives for opening food packaging? And if you do, what type? I'll be honest. When I was still working in a kitchen, I used that 150 petty for everything I wasn't supposed to.
Did you open a can with it?
Well, wouldn't open a can. I wouldn't open a can, but I would open like a bag of salad greens with it, or I'd open a box with it. It's a bad habit for sure. They're not meant for that.
Just sharpen your knife sometimes.
Yeah, I just carry this little Macusta, little tiny thing. Yeah. I have big pocket knives and hunting knives, but I don't carry a big knife with me every day.
That's my knife for bad stuff.
Yeah.
Look, there's Mount Fuji right on the top of it.
Oh, Mount Fuji. I don't think the phone has ever rang this much at night. If it's probably Don Penny calling the store.
Well, Don Penny said he'd love one of those rainbow Damascus if you ever get one in Ottawa, and which brings up an excellent point, because these kind of knives leave the shop as soon as they arrive.
Yeah.
So what's the tip, Chris? How do you do it?
The best thing you can do is, I don't even know if there's one on the website. So
No,
I'll look while I'm telling you. But
oh, here,
the
I'll
best
look.
thing
You tell me. How's that sound?
okay. So what you can do is on the web, a lot of, you folks who've shown up a couple of weeks in a row know that if you're looking for something in particular, and some of these knives fly out of here, anything made by Honora, anything made by Shigefusa, the Tinker Tanks, Jesus, these days a Koishi 210. If you're looking for one of these kind of more sought after knives, the best thing you can do is go on our website and put yourself on the notify me when available knife, or like page. There's a find the knife you want. There's a little button. You stick your email in there, and then you're laughing. You'll get an email as soon as those knives become available. Now that doesn't mean they become available in the store. That means that they've shown up to our warehouse and got unpacked. Usually those knives, the Hinoras, the Shigefusas, they're unpacked for I don't even think they count them and receive them, and then they're sold within the hour. And it's not that's not a bunch of bravado. Hey, if you want a knife, you got to buy it right away. It's just the way it is.
For some of them you do, right? Like if it's a Hinura, if it's a Rainbow Damascus from Saji, if it's Tank or Shigefusa, or what else? Things that go Masashi Honyaki, things like that just fly out of the shop, right? The girls around the warehouse don't even unpack. They don't even put them on the shelves now.
No, they don't have to.
When Tanks and Hinoras come in, they unpack them and they just put them on the corner of the packing table because they know they'll be packing them up later in the day. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So what the best thing to do is go on the website.
Yeah.
And if there's one you like, just say, there's a button that says, if it's sold out, there's a button that says notify me when available. Press that and put your info in, and then you will get an email as soon as they arrive. So that's what happens.
And Ellie explained it to us. Yeah, Ellie explained it to us during garage sale. It gives you a little bit of time, and if so, it gives you a couple hours. You get the email. The first however many people on the list get the email. It gives you a couple hours. If you do not purchase it, you are no longer on the list. You get your shot, and if you missed it, you got to put yourself back on the list. Or, send an email or a message to hello@knifeware.com and someone will take care of it for you. But it's easy enough to do yourself. I'm really liking D-Hop 310. Yeah, they asked the Star Wars question, and now they got another good question. What would be a fun meal or dish to prepare at home that would let someone new to Japanese knives experience their incredible virtues?
Anything where you cut a lot, fajitas and coleslaw.
Yeah, fajitas is a really good one. I like coleslaw.
Slicing raw fish, because that's always hard with a dull knife.
Yeah.
Slicing
we
tomatoes.
used to always have. Remember, we had that recipe for French onion soup to go in the box with the nikiris, because it's a lot of fun to chop a lot of onions with a nikiri. So
I got some breaking news. I'm watching the press conference here with the Alberta Premier, who's just been doing a fabulous job lately.
He doesn't
They've just
mean that.
declared a state of public health emergency in Alberta, and they're making a bunch of changes to how we get to operate. So I've got one ear open.
Okay.
It's talking about social gatherings. Sounds like churches are closed and any kind of social gatherings are off.
Okay. Yeah, they're going through that down in Toronto right now.
No indoor social gatherings will be permitted, period.
Okay.
Funerals, weddings, church, nothing. Bob Dylan concert will have to be canceled.
I didn't get to see Nick Cave in September because of the COVID.
I also didn't get to see him in September.
Yeah, I know. It's a bummer. My mother-in-law was the super bummed one. I at least got to see him last year or the year before.
Yeah,
Marion
we did.
hasn't got to see him. Yeah, that was a fun show.
He sweated on us.
Yeah. Ended up way up in the bleachers.
Oh, Mount Everest is asking, what's the sheath I have for my Mugen knife here?
Jeffrey made those, didn't he?
It's the Horace and Jasper sheath. It's on the website. It's under I think it should be on. If you look at the website and look at the knife, this little sheath should be there. You'll see, because I adapt everything that I use, and I'm this pain in the butt. I cut the pointy bit off on the end of that sheath.
Oh, is that what you
have
did?
A pointy bit right
Oh,
here.
okay.
I just
Yeah, this is a new
I
one.
say I cut it off, but I use this knife to cut it off. Yeah,
so that's
that
a new
little
they're
end
pointy,
piece I just
with a
cut
little
off.
stud in the end.
But you know, it's such good leather, and it just feels really cool after spending half a year in your pocket.
Yeah.
Santa Claus got canceled in Finland.
Oh no.
Oh, listen. Anonymous 5214 says Santa Claus got canceled in Finland. I'm thinking maybe this person's in Finland. I don't know. But I was shooting a Finnish knife or a gun yesterday.
Oh, fun.
Tika. And I would like to point out that I did shoot a couple trees, but I did not shoot at any deer, and no animals were harmed or even bothered by my existence yesterday.
Oh, well, that's very.
Visty and I had fun. It was Peter would have loved my hunting adventure last night. Nothing happened.
Nope, not a thing. Frederico is saying, how far can you go with a boning knife? I mean, for example, can I use it for chopping rabbit bones, or is it too much? Boning knives are not actually meant to go through bones. You know, sometimes if you're watching one of my videos or you're watching me clean a chicken, I'm pretty careful doing it. I can cut some bones with a Hanasuki, but I'm being very, very careful. But a more traditional boning knife is meant to remove meat from bones. So if you want to chop up your rabbit bones, like you want to roast them and make a stock or something like that, or maybe you're making like a rabbit curry and you want to leave the bones in, I would strongly recommend using a more traditional cleaver. We do have a couple from Japan. There's a couple of Sakai ones made with a yellow carbon steel, or like SKD steel. They're really, really good. We also carry a pretty big selection from Arcos, which is a Spanish company, because the Spanish know quite a bit about food as well. And they've got a different style, right? The Japanese people don't buy meat that have bones in it. So Japanese knives don't reflect that. So, and it's the same thing like when I was still a cook, like, and Kevin would know more about this, but there's like very different butchery styles across the world. Like in England and the UK, they butcher everything very different. And in France, it's the same thing. It's only really in North America where you'll get a bone-in steak, where they'll use a bandsaw to cut ribeyes. They don't do that anywhere else. All the bones come out in most other places.
In-person dining at bars, restaurants,
especially at least in France, you know. So it's yeah, I'd use a cleaver if you want to smash up some bones and chop stuff. Damon was supposed to go see. Yeah, axes are fun for that. Steve Wall at Supply and Demand has a kitchen axe. That's fun. Damon was supposed to go see Kurosaki. Yeah, he was supposed to be in Southern Ontario, I think down in Hamilton. I was going to crash that party. Derek was the one who told me about that. Derek Brown told me he was supposed to go down to see Kurosaki-san, and I was going to crash it. Because last time I saw Kurosaki, he tried to drink more beer than me. I thought he might want to try again.
I don't think he can.
I don't think. Well, maybe these days.
Much anymore.
Yeah, I've only had like a beer in the last 4 months, so trying to be less fat. What is that noise? Oh, this is my sign falling down. What else do we have? Yeah, so I really liked. You know what? If D-Hop's got more questions, I like questions like that. Well, that's it, Damon. It's tentatively rescheduled, but who knows, right?
Who knows? Listen, I was supposed to ride my bike across Canada this year from Calgary to Newfoundland, and I canceled it because this whole shabazz, this whole thing going on. But I've rescheduled, Chris. I've rescheduled for 2022. So June 4th, 2022, I'm leaving Calgary.
Okay.
I'm going to be in Newfoundland by mid-August, 2022.
All right.
So you can come and join me.
I could. I don't know that I'll do it on a bicycle, though.
Well, if you're going to do it on a motorcycle, I'll draft behind you. It'll be a lot easier.
There we go. We'll just like pull a. When I was in high school, there
You
used
just
to be
have to go
guys,
45 all the way across, and I'll just tuck in behind you and just give her.
yeah, or we could just like put like a rope and pull you like we used to do when I was in high school, and you'd like get on a toboggan and get pulled behind a skidoo. That's how you know I'm from Newfoundland, because I call all snowmobiles skidoos.
The Voog says, good news, bad news. I can't use my axe to cut wood this winter because we found a buckle in our fireplace chimney. Does that mean Santa got stuck there and his belt buckle stuck in your
maybe.
chimney? Voog?
Santa Claus got stuck in the Voog.
Sounds like Voog ruined everything.
Voog probably like lured him in with like cookies or something, and then like.
And then just
put
fed
that
him so he got
buckle
fat
in
like Winnie the Pooh and
out.
couldn't get out.
Yeah. So.
Trevor's asking who made that sexy axe I showed a few weeks ago. It's a Kagura axe, and he's retired.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he's retired, yet he keeps making the odd knife. He made
Yeah.
5 or 6 hunting knives for our garage sale, I think, but we have 1 or 2 left. They're pricey. He's retired, but man, they're good. I took one out yesterday, and it was brilliant.
See, we do have some other cool axes. So if you're looking for more axes and outdoor stuff, you want to check out our other website. I don't know, Kevin, do you see my screen in like real, like it's not mirrored, is it for you?
No, not
Because
on.
this
Let's
is-
see.
This is our other store. We don't talk about it much on these videos, but at Kent of Inglewood, or www.kentofinglewood.com, you can find all of the outdoor stuff. So outdoor knives, I think we call them campfire knives quite often. You know, stuff that you can use on kind of putzing around outside. We don't like calling them hunting knives because a lot of people don't use them for hunting. They use them for hanging out outside. But we've also got a lot of axes. This is a cool Japanese axe by Mizono-san. I don't know as much about them as I should, but it's a really great carbon steel axe, handmade. And I remember one time someone telling me a story. I don't know, Kevin, I'm gonna like shoot myself in the foot because I'm gonna tell like half a story, but there's some kind of like legend as to why they have these scratches on the axes. And I'm,
Do you know
this
what-
is not, I don't know what it is. I know that there's a story, but I don't know what the story is.
Do you know what the story is? It's a funny
tell
one.
me.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one. Apparently, a bear got caught in a leg hold trap, but just got one claw caught in the trap. And he was
Yeah.
trying to escape, and a hunter came along and found him. And instead of shooting the bear, he felt sorry for the bear trapped by one claw and cut that claw off and that digit off.
Okay.
And then the bear, to thank the hunter, no, this is where things get weird because I don't think it's much of a thanks, but he clawed both sides of the axe. So there's 4 claws on one side and 3 claws on the other.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like stuff like that a lot.
That's a fun story, though, right?
Yeah.
I like it.
But they all do that now. Like Takeda does. Like I've yet to see.
Oh,
that.
all Japanese knives do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've got
really
3 Japanese knives. They're all that way, and every one we've ever had in the shop is like that.
Mount Everest, I would call it a bike or a quad. I would call it depends on what you mean by a 4x4. Because sometimes I would call we call them side by sides. Like
I've ridden a quad or a 4x4,
yeah.
I don't know.
Great.
Do you 4x4 do you mean truck? I call a bike
Yeah.
a bicycle, the kind with pedals,
Yeah.
and I call a quad. And
Is that what you would call like an ATV? Like out in Alberta, is that what you call an ATV? Like a 4-wheeled ATV is a quad?
Sorry, I missed that.
Is that what you call like a 4-wheeled ATV? You call that a quad?
Yeah, like the little kind of thing you ride them, like a double
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Yeah. See, because I know a lot of newfies will call those quads, and then but
Well, it's because they spend time in Alberta.
yeah. They've all gone home now.
Not anymore. They all just got fired.
Yeah. But Greg Stevenson has a really good question. Do you guys have any suggestions for someone just learning to cook? Books, courses, what's the best way to even figure out what cooking styles to try? I've got 3 new knives here looking for work. So
what are your most inspiring and most knowledgeable? What books taught you the most?
the books
Cooking
I
by
learned
hand. Paul Bertoli's Cooking by Hand.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
I read it cover to cover, and it changed how I cook.
Yeah. I also really liked, I had that one. I think you sold me that book using that phrase.
It's because it's true. Maybe you better cook.
Yeah. I also like, Alice Waters has a really good book called The Art of Simple Food. And my daughter had asked me recently, so my daughter is 10 years old, and she had asked me, she has been on my case for years. So the kid loves eating and cooking. And she came to me and said, I want to make dinner. I want to learn how to roast a chicken. So I found that book up on the shelf and I said, read this and then tell me what we need to do and I'll help you do it. So I think that would be a really good one too. Because it's all just super simple, focused on technique. Depends on, I'm not too sure where you live, Greg. I know in other things, yeah, La Technique from Jacques Pepin is a good one as well. What's the name of Julia Child's book? I can't remember the name of her book.
The Art of French Cooking.
Yeah, but I also really liked, Kevin used to work for him, but Fergus Henderson's St. John books. I like those. But that's kind of I like all the weird kind of blood and guts and that kind of thing. So that might not be for everyone, but the technique is really solid. I was watching when we started doing a lot of this YouTube stuff. I spent a lot of time watching the Bon Appetit videos because everyone spoke very highly of those, and I kind of wanted to see what's a popular YouTube video look like, and then I still show up unprepared and ramble on. So I didn't learn too much.
Rambling On is one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs.
Yeah, that's my specialty in life. Where are you located, Greg? Are you in Ontario? Or are you not near one of the stores at all?
Greg, what are you talking about?
Greg asked on YouTube. Greg Stevenson asked me this question.
Oh yeah, come to the shop. We have a really good selection of books that we like.
Yeah, and all of our staff. The staff just. You're in South Ottawa. Oh, this is Greg. Oh shit, yes. I've been chatting with Greg quite a bit. If you come up, the staff are the ones who pick the books in my store. I haven't bought a cookbook for myself in years, but Alex and Megan and Mike, they all love cookbooks. So they'll help you pick out, especially here, I'll go grab a couple I know that everyone really loves.
Here's the cookbook that I have at my desk right now, and it was St. John's. That was the one. That was the. Though this book, I don't think you can get this one in Canada. I think this is an English only release. But
which is that, Kevin?
This is the one I got you.
Oh yeah, no, I have a stack of them here, Kevin.
Of this one here? Is that released here? I didn't know.
The one that you had signed for me? Yeah, it came out after Christmas.
Oh, did it? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't need one because I've got this one. This is a great book. Yeah. I'm gonna learn some really cool food. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But it's just all about, it's simple technique, and it's it's kind of it's pretty homey food. Like their Welsh rarebit recipe, I really like that one. There's some good, there's some stuff that gets real crazy, like a quail stuffed roast suckling pig. You might not want to get to that, but it'll teach you how to eat. It'll teach you what's good, But we've also got Otam Ottolenghi had a couple new books come out in the last year.
Oh
We've
man,
got
Ottolenghi's books are so good. So good.
And then
news, Chris, it doesn't sound like retail shops have been shut down in Alberta, which is kind of we were expecting to get shut down. So So the tough measures that they've taken care of are no social gatherings, and that's it. And churches are still opening. So there we go. Churches are still open. So no social gatherings outside of church are the tough new measures in Alberta to battle COVID.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah,
And haircuts by appointment only.
okay.
And massages by appointment only.
So it sounds like it's kind of like what's going on here in Ottawa then. That's where we are.
I guess. So really
Yeah.
no difference here.
Okay. Yeah, Chicken and Charcoal is a good book too. But yeah, no, you know what, Greg, next time you're around, I'm sorry I didn't realize who you were. I couldn't remember your last name. But swing by, I'll show you some books. And you know what? Like if you're like around in the middle of the week or whatnot, we've always got time to chat. You know, a lady today had come in, or maybe it was yesterday, she popped into the store and she said, she's like, you know, you guys should really just like create like a product where it's just like chat with a chef. And I was like, oh, that's just like kind of come into the store. Like, you don't need to pay me for that. Just come into the store. I'll talk to you. Like, you gotta like, I tell that to every time. Like we used to do, you know, we'll get to them again, but we do like a cut like a chef class where it's all about knife skills. You know, how do you chop certain veggies? How do you do it so you don't mess your knife up? That always results in like tons of recipe swapping. And you know, I like, because everyone who teaches the class likes to do different things with their julienne peppers, and we all kind of buy our own groceries. Like I go and, you know, there's a couple that like every store will do, but like I always buy fennel because I love fennel.
Oh, because fennel's delicious.
And I want people, like, it's a good opportunity. Like, you know what? Yeah, sure. You might not love it. You maybe have never had it before, but you know what? It's all about trying new things and becoming a better cook. That's why you want to learn how to use your knife. So keep an eye, Craig. Like we will get back to those whenever it's safe to do so, whenever we can have like more people in one place at a time. But we have a lot of videos on YouTube, which I know you've been watching. And shoot me an email. I don't know if like Cordon Bleu, they would do like kind of afternoon classes, like they would do like a pastry class or a butchery class, like more than what we're capable of doing in the store. I know Algonquin College does them sometimes too, where they'll do like kind of like a weekend warrior, like how to prep for barbecue kind of thing. So I don't know if anyone's doing that right now, but
Mount Everest says the first time they cooked with fennel was because of our class.
oh, great.
So that's great. There you go. Success.
Yeah.
We've got some fast comments here.
Okay.
Derek, were you thinking of Yoshida ZDP knives? So sexy. Agreed. Super sexy. And
I can
Derek
I have
says
a
yes.
210 of that. I can grab it.
Mount Everest said, yeah, like an ATV. I thought you were going for a bike ride and ended up going for a rip through the bush. No, I don't really drive ATVs very much, but I do like my bicycle. And I didn't. I went walking and sitting a lot in the bush yesterday, and didn't bother any deer. By the way, that Yoshida ZDP 189. It's a really cool, sexy Damascus that nobody else is really doing. Like such a cool look. And
they call it like a raindrop Damascus sometimes.
Well, I like it.
Yeah.
Brian Cook says I got a Nikiri in that range. Very hard to sharpen that ZDP.
Sure is.
Absolutely. Damon says if they shut our stores down, which they didn't, he says you could still hold knife services on Sundays. So that's good. We can just have a knife religion. That's a really smart idea.
We just call it the gospel of sharp knives rock.
Greg Stevens says thanks, Chris.
Problemo.
Now Chris is taunting me. Yes, he is. And also, here's a question way back here from Michael Fordsman. Where is he? Fordsman. There he is. He says, how did you start knifeware? What was your motivation? How did you end up with your first knives from Japan? In 1999, I was living in London, England, and I bought a Japanese kitchen knife there. It blew my mind how great it was. It stayed sharper longer than anything I'd ever used. And it just cut better. And it was sharper. Like it was sharper and stayed sharper longer. Blew my mind. It's exactly what I wanted out of a knife. And then fast forward 8 years later, and I'm back living in Canada, and there's no knives in Canada I wanted to buy. So I just made some contacts in Japan and started importing a few knives. My plan was to sell a few knives so I could afford some more knives. I really wanted to open a restaurant, right? I was a chef. I knew how to open restaurants. And that got out of control. And then I opened some kitchen stores, some kitchen knife stores, and there we go. Now we have a bunch. Excuse me. Oh. Well, my first store, it wasn't a store even. It was just, it was a backpack. So some chefs around Calgary knew I had some cool knives. They'd call me up, and I'd stuff my backpack with my inventory of all 8 or 12 knives, whatever it was. Jump on my bike, cycle to the restaurant, and sell them a knife there. And that's how it started. It just got out of control. So there you go. There's the story of how this knife shop started. Ellen Damon says, on my Sunday literature days, I can anoint people with tsunami. That sounds too bad. Oh, Tsubaki oil. Oh dear, this is getting sacrilegious. Derek Brown says, I want to take your chicken butchery course if you'll ever be able to hold it again. We should be able to have it again. And, we should do some online. Maybe we should do that. Send people a shopping list and say, cut along with us, and we can do a chicken butchery class online.
Yeah.
Buy 2 chickens, have your butchery knife ready. Tune in at 4 o'clock and live demo, live cut along with Chris.
Yeah.
We should think about that.
I know Nathan has been doing some one-on-one classes with people via Zoom, or like for a group as well. Like for, I don't know what kind of success he's had with it. I would have a hard, teaching someone over, because I usually want to reach out and like grab your hands and show you how to do it. So I'd have to think about it quite a bit.
Pervert.
Nothing like a good hand holding.
Somebody's asking, what do you look for in a butchery axe? And I'm just trying to find the one that is the butchery axe I use.
Is it that deep bearded one? Because I have one. Is that the one you like?
No, we're out of stock of it right now. So I'm going to find a version of it that we still have at Kent.
Yeah. Well, what's the one that you're thinking of, Ken?
It's just a hatchet, right? Just a small, like that one you just had. There we go. Not the bearded one. I like the bearded one. I would have.
You don't like the bearded one?
No, not really. I would have this little guy, the Mizuno. Oh no, that's a bearded one too.
I've got one here. I'll get the other one.
It's usually called the Ono, like an Ono. Oh, here it is. The Mizuno Ko Ono. This is a great. That's the one, yeah. But that's the one with the short little handle, right?
Yeah, it's about
like 2. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one right there.
Yeah.
So, who was asking me that? Chad. So Chad, here's the link.
Now the guys they've tapped into my nerdiness here. We've got Mount Everest is saying that I've seen that book. I've never really been tempted to buy it. Oh no, Greg is saying Heroes Feast, Dungeons and Dragons Cookbook. I thought about buying it for Alex, to be honest. Because like I'm very open about my nerdiness, but Alex, the assistant manager here, he does not look the part at all. Alex is much better looking and in better shape than I've ever been. And I don't know if he wants everyone to know how big of a nerd he is. What Alex does, here's kind of, I know he doesn't watch this video, so it's fine. Alex has been coming in the morning. So what we've done is we've kind of isolated Alex in the event that someone got sick in my store. We've got an ace up our sleeve. But Alex comes in early in the day, like sometimes at 7 in the morning, so that he can get some stuff done around the shop for me without coming in contact with anybody. So I came in today, he had lost track of time. He was standing at the front of the store, sharpening a knife, listening to a D&D podcast. There was people playing D&D, and he was listening to their game.
And Where do you
Oh.
think he got that idea from, Chris?
Well, I probably told him about it. So, but yeah, I that Tasha's cauldron of everything. I've asked for that for Christmas. So, Dr. G is asking.
Well, I'll tell you what. AJ's asked, is there any American Canadian blacksmiths you consider carrying at your shop? No, not at Knifeware, but at Kent of Inglewood, we do carry knives from Chris Green, and
Yeah.
we might have knives from another Canadian blacksmith coming up. So we have
Cool.
sister shops called Kent of Inglewood, where you can get axes, hunting knives, and a lot of grooming stuff like combs and brushes and beard care
Well, yeah,
gear,
'cause-
and straight razors, that sort of thing. And we do carry Chris Green knives there, which is a
and well,
Canadian
we've got the
blacksmith.
council tool axes, which are like
Oh,
a
yeah.
drop forged American axe.
Yeah, we got
We've also got the
axes, which are
Yeah.
Swedish.
and we've
So
got the
these are all like
Groman
Kent of,
outdoor knives.
and we got the Groman outdoor knives, which are Canadian as well. So that's all like Kent of Inglewood. So we do have some stuff that isn't made in Japan. It's just generally not at Knifeware. Go,
Where's
Chris.
that ATS 34? Now I have to admit I don't know what the word canted means. Does that mean it's like bent to the left? The blade edge is
Canted?
canted left when I'm looking from the handle to the tip.
Maybe it's
I'm
a cant
sorry.
like a D&D cant. Maybe they're just talking about like a spell or something.
Like a thief's language. I don't mean to. I'm sorry. I'm gonna look it up because I don't actually know what that word means. What does a canted angle mean?
Well, Derek Brown says it means bent.
Okay.
Bent is strange.
Yeah, bent is not right, if that's what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, bent is not good, and you should get in touch, and we can get this figured out. Now, it also depends on how much, right? Like, the handles are all put on by hand and whatnot, so we can expect a little bit of, like, it's not always a perfect straight line. They do as well as a human can, so it might be a matter of if it's off just by a little bit, it might just be that. If it's quite bad, you should get in touch. You should send an email to hello@knifeware.com if it's something that is really troubling. If it's just a little bit, like a millimeter or two, I personally wouldn't stress out too much, but I wouldn't. We're here to make you happy, so don't worry about that. Get in touch, and we'll sort you
out. In other news,
Mm-hmm.
Connor McDavid, you won't know this, but he's a hockey player in Edmonton, bit of a hot shot.
Oh yeah, I saw you put that tweet up, and I had no idea what you were talking about.
And yeah, well, I'll tell you what. There's been some pictures released from his house that he's just apparently bought or moved in or some such. And all I thought was, wow, that's really expensive and totally ugly. So there you go. Just because you got shitloads of money doesn't mean you have any style. Also, we haven't done a very good job of talking about gift knives. And also,
yeah, well, we got
Chris,
to our point.
I got a bit bored this morning and I was kind of killing time. So I went to Twitter and said stupid things like the earth is flat, which caused some people to tell me that I was an idiot. But then I have some irrefutable proof here that proves that the earth is flat. And nobody's been able to prove me wrong yet. Do you want to see my irrefutable proof, Chris?
Yeah, you've been talking about this on and off throughout the day. Oh, you drew a picture.
That's the earth. It's flat.
Okay.
I rest my case.
There it is. Written on the back of something else. Earth is flat.
Yeah, well, that's the important bit. But there you go. Earth.
Damon
flat.
is asking if rehandling is a service that we offer. And it is. I rehandled a knife for someone today. It's usually not that difficult.
We do that. There's probably prices and everything.
There is, yep. Pretty much you got to pay, you got to buy the handle and then give us $20 to do it. That's essentially it. I know that those custom handles are a little bit more like those crazy burl stabilized woods and stuff you saw on some of the Japanese or some of the garage sale knives. That requires some special kind of epoxy, and they need to go to the warehouse to do that. But generally speaking, in the stores, we can rehandle a knife for you without too much trouble. It takes a day or two because you got to put the handle on and let the glue sit. And odds are, if we're replacing your handle, you wanted it sharpened as well. So you kind of got to do one then the other. It takes a day or two. So it's not like a while you wait sort of thing. Okay, Dr. G says Nathan's helping him out. That's great.
Nathan's a good man and thorough, so you're in good
He
luck.
is thorough. Yeah. Nathan, actually, we talked about Ken of Inglewood a little bit today.
Maybe you should talk more about it.
Yeah, well, Nathan asked me to mention that they're doing a giveaway on the Kent of Inglewood Instagram. So it's partnered with Hele, or the folks from Hele. You need to follow Kent of Inglewood and then Young and Mackenzie, which is who like Hele. You got to follow us. You got to follow them. And then tag a friend in the photo, and you'll be entered in the draw for a new outdoor knife. So that's kind of fun.
That is kind of fun, actually.
Yeah, which I expect everyone is going to I'm probably going to get one from Irish Magpie and one from Fort Spencer Tools, and I'll get tagged by the Knife Nerd, and I'll get tagged by Alex Dufour. That's what's going to happen tonight, I'm imagine.
Well, I'm going to try to get one of those knives for sure, man.
Yeah. And then there's a couple of sales coming up with Kent of Inglewood. Everyone always asks about Black Friday sales. And we've just done our garage sale in Knifeware, and there is still stuff there. You just need to look for it on the website. Just because like the dates are over doesn't mean the knives evaporate at the end. So, and just because of the way that we do the garage sale, it's not like we don't slash a bunch of prices and then put them back up or whatnot. It's the price is the price, and they're gone when they're gone, right? So, but Ken of Inglewood is doing a Black Friday sale the 26th to the 29th, and there's Nathan says 30% off select items. So he said there was there was a bunch of stuff
that
there. He
sounds
rhymed
good.
it off to me. I haven't had a chance to go through and look because he called me. I had about 2 minutes before I was going to hit play on our video. So. And then on the 30th to the 6th of December, whatever that week is, I think that is it, Monday the 30th to Sunday the 6th, all Kent of Inglewood and Hoxton shaving hardware, or maybe it's all products, is buy one, get one half off. So there's some sales coming up for Kent of Inglewood, which is fun.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
I
had accused Nathan of...
sorry.
I was going to say, I had accused Nathan of having me say that, and then you wouldn't have known about it. And then I would have gotten beaten through Zoom for making promises that you didn't know about.
I knew all about it, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm omnipotent.
So, what about this honey beer? Adrian's asking about the honey beer.
Do you know about the honey beer?
I knew it was happening. I don't know if it's done.
Do you know we keep bees?
I knew
we work with ABC Bees, and we have 2 hives in Calgary. We used to keep them in Heritage Park, but not this year because Heritage Park was closed, or open. Kind of depends how you look at it. Anyway, we didn't have the bees there this year, and this year with the honey, we got about 60 pounds of honey from our 2 hives, and we used 40 pounds of it to make a beer with Highline Brewery. So they made honey. And they actually had some apples as well, and some crab apples. So some Calgary picked apples and honey in the beer. And I haven't had it yet, but we're bottling it on Tuesday. We're bottling it on Tuesday. So I'm going to go there. We're going to bottle it on. Well, when I say bottle it, I mean the act of putting it in a can. That's what bottling means, right? So we're going to put them in cans, and we're going to have. It's going to be on draft at Highline Brewery until it's out, and we'll have some bottles, and obviously we're not allowed to give alcohol away for free or sell it or anything like that at our stores. So if you come to the Calgary store and make some big purchases around Christmas, sometimes a can falls in your bag.
Yeah, That
But that would
happens.
be illegal. So I don't know anything about it. I believe it's called Buzz Cut beer.
Okay.
See?
Well, that
Buzz
makes
like
sense.
bees, right? And then cut like a knife. And then
Iceberg
you
says
drink
it could have been
Buzz
called
Cut.
Honey Suki.
Honey Suki. Iceberg Mama also said he got his new knife and is going to go make some French fries. Because you haven't yet, Chris. Because you were supposed to teach him how to make French fries.
I wasn't. You were.
How do the Japanese feel about y'all's awesome facial hair? Are they jealous or just freaked out? They call me a bear, a kuma. So there's that.
Yeah, I had the time when I went to Japan. I wasn't as
You had a
bearded. I had a
mustache.
mustache, but I've got quite a few tattoos, and that tend to stick out quite a bit. There's a lot of people staring.
One time I was there with a huge beard. And that was quite something. A few people wanted to touch my beard. That was a bit strange.
Yeah.
But really, being 6'3" and my size, I stick out in Japan anyway. Doesn't matter if I've got a beard or
Penny,
not.
I think.
Don Penny's calling the shop, which is nice.
I guess so. I don't even know where that phone is. I'm gonna have to call all these people back after.
Anonymous 5214 said Tamagami. I don't know what that means.
Tamagami. What's that mean? That's like a place. That's a place in Ontario. Tamagami. That's the name of the Hele knife designed by Les Stroud. That's what that is.
Oh,
May or may not be the same thing that he's talking about. But yeah, I think I have one. I think I have one in the store.
well, that's cool. Les Stroud just made a new TV show with our friend Kevin Costwin, who made the Springhammer films for us, and our buddy Paul Rakowski, who owns a restaurant called Rouge just around the corner from Knife Work Calgary. They just made a new show. You can see it on CBS. I haven't found it online yet because I don't have cable, so I can't see it. But I really want to, so I'm hoping at one point I can stream it online.
This is a Hele Tamagami. I have no idea if that's what you were actually asking about, Anon, but
there it is.
I found something. I have a feeling he maybe was wondering about Tamahagane.
Maybe. I'm sure he'll correct us about what he wants.
For sure.
Where are you at?
Well,
Chris?
okay. Well, here.
I'm thinking. I've been having a busy day today. I'm tired. and I want to eat dinner. I want to go to bed. I know it's only 5:30, but I'm feeling like, I need to get my day on and go to bed.
Yeah. Well, why don't I'll start the old wrap up. How about we do that? Iceberg thought about you this weekend, made a brisket in my Komodo, turned out awesome. The Mori Takatsuji went through it like a breeze. Well, you know what? I think Don Penny might have been talking shit about you too. It's not very nice, but here we are. So,
hey, Chris, AJ is Andrew from Sannigan's.
Oh,
and
wicked.
Hopes you're well and had a good garage sale. I know I did. Looking forward to my Masakagi arriving in the mail.
Oh, wicked. Well, that makes a lot of sense then. The Sannigan's, that's that butcher shop we went to. Remember when we did the pop-up at Terroir, Kevin? And we had the pop-up in the little tiny house, the little tiny room. That was the butcher shop we went to and bought all the sausages and stuff that night.
Oh,
that's
well,
that place,
then.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, Andrew's a great guy. He comes to see us every now and again when he's in town. The custom handles, they may or may not be on the website. I'm not too sure. We don't actually have any in stock at the moment. I know we're waiting for more to come in.
We've got another 60 coming in.
Okay.
But we had we were going to sell anyway. We put them all on handle on knives.
Yeah.
And then we don't have any more. We've got some more coming in for those custom handles.
Yeah.
I know another guy. They'll be on the site. No, the problem is they're all one of a kind, right? So Mason's got to go take pictures of all of them.
Of everything, yeah.
Yeah. Are there any makers who actually use Tatara steel? That's the homemade steel. Like, for example, this tiny piece of Tamagami. So that is what they're asking about. This is steel that's made with iron, sand, and charcoal fire that's burned for 4 days in a tatara. And that's the tatara is the big clay oven they build to make this steel. So this is the steel that katana and samurai swords are made of. This is the steel that made Japan famous for sword and knife making. Iwasaki used to make some razors out of it. Now, Takeda-san has about 5 tons of this out beside his workshop, but he's not interested in making any knives from it. Blacksmith Hinura-san has made knives with it recently. I might trick Masashi into it, but the thing is about Tamagami steel is that it's not very good. Like, it's romantic and lovely for the romance, but the performance-wise, you'd be very disappointed by it. Yeah, and of course, Damon, I got a chunk lying around. This is one of them. I got about 8 chunks of it. I've got another one that's bigger. This one's from Hinura-san. He gave me a little present, but I got a really huge one that Takeda-san gave me. Like, it's a monster. I can barely lift it. It's so heavy.
Someone on Instagram is making fun of how boring I am. He put ZZZZ. What is this live stream?
Well, you better tell him. By the way, he also wants to know, how did you write backward so well?
It took me a while. It took me 3 tries, and I still made a bunch of mistakes. So hopefully he comes over here and can see what we're talking about. I explained it. Well, we did talk a little bit about what makes a good gift knife, and I think the thing to keep in mind is that it should look good. You should, cater to the recipient's tastes. Try to find something that's not going to it's going to be very easy for them to take care of. Like the Fujimoto SLD, the Hammer Tone is a great one. Most of the Haruyuki knives make amazing gifts. You just want to be cautious about any carbon steel. But the Haruyuki Mugi, I know the Haruyuki Kokuto was a huge gift knife last year for Christmas, and I presume it'll be the same this year. Easy to take care of, not going to break the bank, looks awesome. That's what you need to keep in mind. And then we ended up talking about Damascus and a whole bunch of stuff. So we got, what's today? Today's Tuesday, so we still have our sharpening video coming up on Thursday evening, and then we have our sharpening video on Thursday evening. We got the advanced sharpening on Friday afternoon, and then this show is back next Tuesday. So next Tuesday you might get to chat with Nathan. It really depends on how busy my store gets as we lead up to Christmas. So it might be the Kevin and Nathan show for a little bit. Got to figure that out.
It might be.
Because today we were quite busy, and I was scrambling to get all this set up in time. So
you set up something?
Yeah, I got to set up the computer, and I got the other thing over there, and I
could do it for you. I could do it for you next week.
Yeah, well, that really depends on the day too. I have a hard time remaining civil once I hit a certain level of tired. So
well, then
Peter,
we should probably go, or make you really tired.
Yeah, Peter didn't come in today. He told me he was going to come in today and drop knives off for sharpening, and he didn't do that. I presume
you told me earlier that you sharpened every knife in the nation's capital today.
I believe I did, yeah.
And Peter didn't bring his in, so there you go.
He doesn't live in Ottawa, though. He lives in
proof that you didn't.
He doesn't live in the. He doesn't live in the city.
Blah 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 blah. Technicalities all the time. Always got a loophole. Chris Armitage.
Oh. All right. So. Yeah. See, now Andrew's all like, sounds about right. Chris is always. I don't know. I'm terrible guy.
Anyway, buddy.
So, all right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I do really appreciate that you are entertained by my ramblings. I find it a lot of fun. So
It is super
wicked.
fun.
Have a
All
good
right.
evening, everybody.
Ciao.